This transgender lawmaker is literally saying that they want children to be able to access adult content underage so that they can discover their queer identity. That's insane. And so context of today's crash out over in Minnesota, which I'm so tired of the state of Minnesota. I feel like every single time we talk about Minnesota, there's something crazy happening. Like you either have Miss Girl, running over an agent, then being shocked that she gets shot, or you have the Somalis with their fraud.
You have this girl running over an agent? This is crazy grift. But hey, he found his niche. He can be, a queer person that parrots hard right talking points and straight up propaganda, because if you're lying, then it becomes propaganda. Not that that's the only prerequisite to be considered propaganda, but I'm just saying this is propaganda for sure. He just played a clip where he was on PragerU, so he's affiliated with such groups that are, right-wing propaganda media. It makes sense. This guy would be very useful to them. And perhaps he truly believes in everything he's saying. Perhaps he actually believes that, Renee Good ran over somebody, that somebody got ran over in that situation. I mean, I hate to ever recommend watching that video, but if you have any question about what happened, or if you somehow think that she ran somebody over, watch the video. Because you kind of need to.
Like you either have Miss Girl, running over an agent, then being shocked that she gets shot, or you have the Somalis with their fraud. Now you have the non-binary transgender lawmaker that is now saying that children should be watching adult content for educational purposes. Oh yes, literally. So the age verification bill is up for debate over in Minnesota. And if you don't know what that is, in certain states now, if you are going on adult websites, it now is going to require you to either make an account or put a credit card or something of that sort in there. And they are debating it in Minnesota. What I would not have expected is for them to say that they believe that children should be watching this content. Never would you have guessed that we would have actual elected officials pushing for children to watch adult content. But of course, whenever you have these radical progressives, this is what you end up with.
You mentioned the Paxton case, and the AGs in many states are very clear about, they're almost jubilant about being able to use these laws to ban young people from accessing content that could be educational if they are queer.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's very similar. It's probably the exact same bill that was passed where I live, because watch what happens when I try and go here. This is what I get.
Hi, I'm Sherita Bill. As you may know, your elected officials have required us to verify your age before granting you access to our website. While safety and compliance are at the forefront of our mission, giving your ID card every time you want to visit an adult platform is not the most effective solution for protecting our users, and in fact, will put children and your privacy at risk. In addition, mandating age verification without proper enforcement gives platforms the opportunity to choose whether or not to comply. As we've seen in other states, this just drives traffic to sites with far fewer safety measures in place. Very few sites are able to compare to the robust trust and safety measures we currently have in place. In order to protect children and user privacy, any legislation must be enforced against all platforms offering adult content. The safety of our users is one of our biggest concerns. However, the best and most effective solution for protecting children and adults alike is to identify users by their device and allow access to age-restricted materials and websites based on that identification.
Oh, we're just looking into the age restriction law that has been passed in many places, including where I live. They're trying to pass it in Minnesota. I wanted to show what happens if I go to Pornhub.com. But I've never actually played the video. But yes, I cannot access Pornhub.com. But I had no idea that video was actually like, this woman just sold me. Like, I know where I stand on this legislation now. I'm against this legislation passing. I don't like the age verification bill.
Hi, I'm Sherita Bill. As you may know, your elected officials have required us to verify your age before granting you access to our website.
That would be hilarious.
While safety and compliance are at the forefront of our mission.
Yeah, this is crazy. So this pops up if I go to Pornhub.com, and I never played this video, but she straight up comes in hard on the, she comes in hard here.
Hi, I'm Cherie DeVille. As you may know, your elected officials have required us to verify your age before granting you access to our website. While safety and compliance are at the forefront of our mission, giving your ID card every time you want to visit an adult platform is not the most effective solution for protecting our users.
Okay, so she lays down the thesis or whatever. Tell us why.
And in fact, will put children and your privacy at risk.
Your privacy at risk, I guess, because you have to share your ID. That makes sense.
In addition, mandating age verification without proper enforcement gives platforms the opportunity to choose whether or not to comply. As we've seen in other states, this just drives traffic to sites with far fewer safety measures in place.
Boom. That makes sense, because when I can't go to Pornhub, I definitely go to one of the less reputable. I've never searched for, really like bad stuff, but it's probably on there. So that's a rock solid case, man.
Drives traffic to sites with far fewer safety measures in place. Very few sites are able to compare to the robust trust and safety measures we currently have in place. In order to protect children and user privacy, any legislation must be enforced against all platforms offering adult content. The safety of our users is one of our biggest concerns. However, the best and most effective solution for protecting children and adults alike is to identify users by their device and allow access to age-restricted materials and websites based on that identification. Until a real solution is offered, we've made the difficult decision to completely disable access to our website in your region. Please contact your representatives and demand device-based verification solutions that make the internet safer while also respecting your privacy.
Dude, I didn't even catch the end part. And I got some context here. So this is like a straight up call to action, because instead of complying with the law that got passed, they just shut down services. And so they're banking on people in areas like where I live and so many other places where this bill has gone through. They're just banking on those people being so upset that they do something about it. That classic call to action, call your representative. And the crazy thing is like, I bet people are actually stepping up. I bet people are actually calling. Like, this is such a power move. Holy shit. I have so much respect for this. I now view my previous employment with this company with even more reverence and respect than I ever did before. When certain U.S. states passed laws requiring adult websites to verify that users are over 18, often by checking government-issued ID or using third-party systems, which is sketchy. No one's going to want to do that. Pornhub's owners chose not to implement those site-level age checks. Instead, the site blocked access to visitors from those states, e.g. Texas, Utah, North Carolina, Florida, and others, rather than comply with the strict ID verification requirements, arguing that such laws are ineffective and pose privacy risks. This is a power move right here. They're standing firm, 10 toes down. They're standing on business right now. I respect it, because they're turning away all of that traffic. Instead of just going along with this, which they could do, and, they could even not use a third party, they could spend the amount of money that they're losing right now to create like the most secure ID verification software or whatever, and make it native to Pornhub. Then they would, go with the law and not have to turn away all this traffic. Because even if they use some sketchy third party thing, a lot of people are going to do that, because the same people that are going to literally call their local officials are the same people that would be like, whatever, I'll just do what they're asking. A lot of people would do that because this is what they're banking on. That's why this is such a power move, because they're banking on those people being so upset that they can't access their Pornhub that they will call local officials and pressure them. Like, they're just straight up saying this law is bullshit. Based on the argument she just made, I totally agree with her. I think the age verification bill is bad. They should not have passed that. They should get rid of it. Because what she's saying is Pornhub is one of the only sites that is very strict. And I can tell you that this is true. They're very strict about what content, you know, they have and who's in the content too. All the alternatives are like not as good, and like she said, they're not as strict about, you know, what gets posted. When people can't get to Pornhub, they're going to go to some sketchy places. So Pornhub is taking a stand, right? When I go to Pornhub and people in all these other states go to Pornhub, you know, good old Pornhub, they get this. They get this. They don't get Pornhub, they get this. At 14, we have Gooners, so this is good. Well, listen, man, hear her out real quick. Hear her out, because she actually makes a very solid argument.
Hi, I'm Sheree DeVille. As you may know, your elected officials have required us to verify your age before granting you access to our website. While safety and compliance are at the forefront of our mission, giving your ID card every time you want to visit an adult platform is not the most effective solution for protecting our users, and in fact, will put children and your privacy at risk. In order to protect children and user privacy, any legislation must be enforced against all platforms offering adult content.
Which they can't do, which is kind of her point, and it's true. Pornhub is like a high standard, and so because they don't believe in this law for good reasons, and they're protesting by blocking access and hoping that, you know, gooners in these states will call their local representatives about it to the point that they have to like reverse the bill or something. And the crazy thing is that of all the things that like people would actually pick up the phone and call their local representative about, you feel just not gooning is better. I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's a personal choice. And of course, you know, addiction is a thing, but like addictive substances are accessible all the time in life. You know what I mean? You can have a food addiction, junk food addiction. It's good that you have the freedom to, you know, to goon or not to goon. But what she's saying is like people are going to fucking find porn. If they're looking for porn, they're going to find it. And she's totally right. And like, there's no way, like basically the more restrictions you put, and this is the kind of reverse psychology stuff that right wingers just don't understand, man. You're like, masturbating is a sin, so let's age verify porn so that, you know, no one underage can see porn or whatever. But what's the actual result of that? What are people in places like where I live gonna do who want to see porn, which they are, whether you wish everybody would stop gooning or not, you have to consider reality into these things as a factor. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna go to sites that are less restrictive, where they could be exposed to really depraved shit, like illegal shit. So you're talking about you want to age restrict Pornhub because that protects the children, right? Because you're worried about underage people that are looking for porn, but you're literally making it so they're more likely to get exposed to way more depraved stuff, and even possibly get exposed to the victimization of other children. Pornhub is like the Google. And like I said, I used to work for them, so I know how strict they are as far as the content that they allow to be published on their site. They are making sure that the people in the video gave consent. They're making sure that everybody's of age, of course, in the videos, stuff like that. And I guarantee none of these other sites are doing that. As far as like the free, anyone can access porn sites on the internet, no other ones are doing that. So while you can say block all of it, but don't you understand how that's silly? That doesn't actually have the intended effect. Football says, well, there's many issues with porn, such as I'm not a look maxer, but you can get acne from it, proven. You also can get less confidence. I've been told by everyone that I'm confident, and they're boomer that are just not in this day and age. How in hell are they going to get a girlfriend when they just creep out the girls? Interesting. So porn can give you acne. I have never heard that before. That's pretty interesting. Yes, you're sure about that? I mean, I'm gonna look it up. No. Hey man, don't worry. Look, it's a common myth, so don't feel bad. You probably heard it on TikTok or something like that. Don't feel bad, but yeah, no. There's no way. Porn is definitely, like, especially when you're younger, I'm sure it can be very addictive. It's kind of like a vice almost, right? But luckily, it's not one that physically harms you. So it has that going for it, you know, as opposed to like smoking or drinking or doing dangerous stuff. Typical age verification approaches include document checks, third-party verification services, credit card checks, since most minors don't have credit cards. So that's interesting. Or I guess maybe, can you not get a credit card before you're 18? I don't know. Biometric verification and some proposals. Here's the thing, it's like, why the fuck, dude, the Republicans, they don't believe in like gun restrictions, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I get that, like, they're obviously you have to, you know, you have to be a certain age to buy a gun. And you could argue that that's all they're trying to do. But then you're comparing guns to porn, which is, you know, one thing can be psychologically harmful, I suppose, if you're too young or if you're addicted to porn. The other thing could be, you know, deadly to yourself or many other people as well. So, you know what I'm saying? Make that make sense. I thought y'all were the freedom guys. Like, parents, like, I'm not a parent, so I don't know, but I'm assuming there's ways to, like, set up basic age restriction on your, you know, your child's device or whatever. And then it's like, it's on you to, like, limit access to that device. You know what I mean? You can't, like, inconvenience all the adults just because you can't fucking, you know, watch your kids well enough or whatever. Yeah, this is just stupid because it can't be enforced. All these like moral pearl clutching bills are fucking so stupid, man. It's completely worthless. It's worse than worthless. It's actually destructive. And it's counterproductive. It literally gets in the way of its own goals. So that's stupid. Not surprised.